Listen, if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a mixture of the two, today's podcast is exactly what you want to be here for. So I'm going to be interviewing my good friend Ray and Sam, owners of Gatsbys. I've been to this place before. I'll leave the link in the description. It's a speakeasy bar, and they also own a restaurant on the side as well as some other things that they both personally work on the side. It's a very interesting one. It's full of value for all you people who want to are up and coming or want to start your own business. This episode is exactly what you're gonna get. So if you're looking for any information of any type, you can go ahead and keep watching or keep listening. And I hope you get a lot of value out of this, and I hope you can actually take whatever it is that they say into heart to make it work for you guys and make it work for your future. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into today's podcast, shall we? So here we are once again at Gatsby's. For those of you who are not familiar, you can go ahead, maybe click the link in the description, and you can get an idea as to where we're at right now. And here today, this is a special one. Today, I'm being guested by my good friends here, owners of Gatsby's. I'm gonna start with Ray here.
Hello, how we doing?
And then next we got Sam.
Hello.
So, before we get started, I actually wanted to ask, before we start with the interview questions, I was doing a little bit of research when it comes to speakeasies. What is it with this whole like secrecy thing? There's like a lot of speakeasies have a lot of like connections when it comes to secrecy. Like where does that even like stem from?
So I'll start. In the 1920s, it was the Prohibition era. So at that time, it was prohibited to sell or have alcohol in establishments. So a way to get around that were certain entities were created called speakeasies, and the meaning behind a speakeasy is to literally speak easy, kind of whisper. There would be establishments that would look like barbershops or laundromats, and people that knew or that had that kind of revenue would be able to get into these kind of secret passages to get to certain establishments that would sell alcohol at the time when it was illegal in the United States. Yeah. So that's why it's kind of secretive, because it's not something that was known to many. It was a lot of word of mouth, and if you kind of knew people, or if you were kind of in the know, you were able to get to those type of areas within your city that were able to consume and sell alcohol. Yeah.
Okay. But the whole secrecy thing, kind of like I get that now. I get it now that you actually backed it up with the whole history. But being that you kind of want people to come in, and then it coming from this like background of secrecy, doesn't that kind of like butt heads a little bit?
I think initially it kind of affects business, because you're like, okay, well, it's a speakeasy. Do I need a membership? How do I get in? But I think Laredo, was ready for it. We felt that it was a good time to introduce this, and words travel fast in Laredo, so I don't think we had an issue. And since we've been open,
I think
that
it was
concept,
part of the charm is when even no matter the age group that frequents Gatsby's, what we've seen is people really enjoy the process of coming into a speakeasy, scanning the QR code at the door. It's a red door with a flickering lantern, and there's no signage. So there's like a little bit of mystery there and anticipation. And I think that's what kind of helped as well, is that even though speakeasies, again, have been around since the early 1920s, many people in Laredo weren't aware of kind of the history behind a speakeasy, and never had been to an establishment, at least here in Laredo, that had that type of concept. So I think that's actually helped us quite a bit. There have been some instances where we hear people asking, well, I heard it's by invitation only. So that's where the marketing comes into play. That's where a lot of the promotion comes into play when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, other social media outlets, is allowing people to know, no, there's a process, but everybody's welcome. It's not not an exclusive place where only certain people are welcome, but everyone's welcomed. We do have a certain dress code, which is not, we're not expecting black and tie or cocktail dress, but business casual for the men. We don't want people with cut sleeves and a cap and sandals. We want a certain kind of clientele here. And honestly, that's also for the majority of the clients that come here and our guests, is that, I would say 95% of them have that business casual attire, and women always dress fairly nice when they go out here on Laredo. So that really wasn't an issue. It's just really kind of weeding out those people that think this is something more than a cocktail lounge, which it's not. It's not, your typical bar in Laredo. Yeah, aesthetically and just the clientele and the types of our mixologists and the type of cocktails you get here are more on the high end.
That is actually true. I will fill in more information on that towards the end of this podcast. But in the meantime, let's start off with the first questions. First question, and this goes to both of you. If you have like a different answer, because I'm pretty sure you guys are, feel free to butt in whenever you guys want to. Can you share the story behind the concept of your Speakeasy bar? What inspired you to create such a unique establishment?
So Ray and I have traveled. We do a yearly trip, and we kind of pick a destination. And we hit a couple of bars and clubs, and kind of just that's where we got our inspiration from. When this opportunity presented itself, we were in the process of expanding more north of Laredo. We were looking into San Antonio. When this opportunity presented itself, we were something that we were discussing for quite some time. And when they offered it to us, we said, okay, well, let's roll with it, not knowing what we were going to do.
Yeah.
But as we kind of looked at the space after it was empty and kind of just had a couple of discussions, we said, okay, well, let's do two concepts.
The space lended itself to creating what we've always wanted to do. And I feel like we kind of manifested it, because I think a year before this area became available, we had discussions, whether it was over a drink or dinner, and we thought, wow, a rooftop, like imagine if we had this space, imagine we could do with it. And then we started, kind of creating our own little story and design of how we would look. And then about a year after that, it became available. So it was serendipitous in some ways, where just kind of everything aligned perfectly, and we were able to build almost exactly what we wanted to build. And to Sam's point again, we were fortunate to travel quite a bit, whether it's Chicago, New York, LA, Miami, even Houston area, Dallas. But we were always kind of more looking for more of a loungy environment, not so much club-like. And that's where we looked at different speakeasies across the country that we were fortunate to go to, and we thought, man, I think we could do something like this in Laredo. What was kind of great about it working out here and not us expanding outside of Laredo is that we really brought an ambiance that is unlike any other for our city. And I think that was, aside from our own aspirations, it was really nice to give our community something different. And I think it's really been, the reception has been great, the feedback amazing. And we were really concerned with that when we were even thinking about opening it, because we didn't know if this was the place that we were the only ones that were going to enjoy it and like it, or if people were really going to take a liking to it and really appreciate what we brought. So that was a little,
At the end of the day, it was, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, it's kind of the idea there from Field of Dreams, but it's very true. We just weren't sure. Laredo is a very unique town, unlike any other, and I think most people listening in would agree with that. So you never know what you're going to get. You never know if you can create something that people are going to enjoy, because we're really trying to kind of burst the bubble a little bit. We're trying to get people to enjoy something that's outside of what they normally experience. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where we thought, okay, it's worth taking a chance, and let's see what happens. We don't know until we know. We certainly don't, we don't want to go thinking, well, have some sort of regret and thinking, man, we should have done it. And now we can say, well, we did it. And so far, so good.
So far, so good indeed.
the whole idea, like even when the first time I came here, I'm like, this is so badass. Like this is nothing like Laredo has, and I wish you guys the best because as far as like unique places like this, and I think we might have like touched on it also that Laredo seems to do this thing where they kind of like completely change it because it's something that they don't like or they're not used to.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I guess what would you guys think? Like, have you been like pushed towards that direction to like maybe like
actually, I think it was like the first couple of days I got
the
someone,
first couple days?
It was someone's birthday, and they're like, "Can you play some 50 Cent?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, that's not what we do here."
I also heard reggaeton. I was like, no, I'm sorry. We really stick to a jazz theme.
But surprisingly, we always get a lot of people saying, "Please don't change." Like, I really like this place. I hope it doesn't change to something else.
Yeah.
To piggyback off what Sam said, I think a lot of places, not a lot, but there's a handful of places here that start off with a certain concept, but feel forced to change that concept, change the mood based on on wanting more revenue. And I trust me, as struggling business owners, we understand that. But there's also, nonetheless, there's something to say about sticking to your guns. And I think that's what we're doing here is, although maybe there's certain percentage of clientele that would like something different, it's either for you or it's not, right?
Yeah.
Like either you enjoy the vibe, you enjoy the ambiance, you enjoy the fact that this is a joint where you can come in, have a good conversation, network, listen to some good jazz music, or it's not. What's kind of neat about what we did, just to kind of be somewhat accommodating, is that we do have, depending on the time of day, the playlist changes. So when you come in, there's like an opening playlist of strictly like kind of down tempo jazz, just kind of jazzy jazz.
Okay.
You go into the evening hours, you get a little bit more of that BPM, but you still hear the notes of the sax and the trumpet and the trombone. Like you hear all those jazzy instruments. Come, after midnight, you still hear the jazz, but there's a little bit more of a higher BPM to it. But nonetheless, from opening to close, you're still going to hear like levels and notes of jazz.
Okay.
You're not, reggaeton's great, bachata's nice, hip hop's great. We love all different genres of music, but we built an establishment that lends itself to just a particular type of genre. And so far, so good. Yeah.
That's good. Hopefully, you guys actually, like you said, stick to your guns.
Yeah, we'll sync with the ship. With
We'll
that.
sync with the
so
ship.
That's we're not going to change that.
Awesome. Let's see. This is one of the second question here. Second question is, can you share some insights into the process of designing and creating the ambience of your speakeasy bar?
Yeah.
It started off with this brick wall. It was just a red brick. And initially we said, okay, well, we're going to paint it. And we wanted something like a charcoal
Gray.
More like a charcoal gray, like
kind of ashy.
So we had to leave town, and they said, okay, well, we bought the paint, and I think we rushed it a little bit.
Yeah.
And we left town, and they sent us photos, and we were like, there's no way we're keeping that color. So we went with this really dark,
it's called space blue.
Yeah, space blue.
Yeah.
Space blue.
So it looks
Blue.
black, but the bricks are blue.
It's like it's a dark blue is essentially what we went with.
Is it the same colors that we got back here?
No, this is black.
Oh, okay. All right.
This is similar, but it's darker than this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was trial and error.
Yeah.
I think what was good and bad is we had a concept, we had the design, but we're not architects. We're not great at rendering. Right? I can't. If you ask me to create a design, I'll make sticks. We have the idea. We just wanted that. We wanted to visualize that. But as we looked around, it was quite expensive to get an interior designer to just have a particular type of scope, where we're coming up with the idea and the design, and they're simply just kind of sketching it out.
Yeah.
So once we got kind of a better idea of what that was going to cost, we decided to do it on our own, and that's why it was a little bit of a trial and error. From the walls, as going from an ashy gray to going to what's that paint joint called?
Sherman Williams.
And we went there and we looked at different paint colors and like different blues, different grays. And ultimately we looked at this one and we were sold, I think within a few seconds of looking at it. We just kind of looked at each other, we're like, this is the color we're going to go with. because we also knew that we wanted some gold to pop, and that goes with the that also kind of goes with the ambiance of a speakeasy, the chandeliers, those kind of warm whites, right? So we knew that, then it really helped us figure out the right color to go with regard to the walls. That's just one aspect of it.
So once we picked the walls, we're like, okay, well, what's next? We know when we spoke about it, we said, okay, let's do a kind of a modern speakeasy, like the chandeliers have, crystals and pearls, and that was the next purchase. And then once we had that vision, okay, we said, okay, well, let's look at the bar a little bit. We redid the bar. It was a wooden bar back then. It's still wood, but we added this Mont Blanc quartzite.
Quartzite. It's a Brazilian stone, and that was also something that we went back and forth with for quite a long time. Every little detail of Gatsby's was thought of, from the backsplash of the bar to the hooks where people can put their their purses, to the design of the chairs at the bar, the lighting fixture. Everything was really well thought of. And as Sam mentioned, it was, how can we create a speakeasy but has that modern twist to it? And this is what we came up with. The chandeliers is old school, but if you look at the pendants at the bar, that's a little bit more modern. The bar itself is the actual design of the bar has that old school feel, but with a very modern outlook to it because of the stone that we chose to go with and the colors. Yeah. Same thing with the bar itself, the shelving. That took a minute too. So and that's also a space blue shelf color on the actual shelving of the,
which matches the walls.
yeah. So everything matches something. There's kind of this way of everything's kind of coordinated in a certain way where anywhere you look, there's something that jives with something else, and it's just a nice flow aesthetically and from the positioning of the tables themselves.
Another thing was I don't know where we were at, but we went into this speakeasy and they had like this digital art, and I was like, what is that? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And how do I get it?
Yeah.
So I kind of I took a photo of it and kind of looked around it, and I was able to get the name. But we have these two screens inside Gatsby's, and they're NFTs. So it's digital art. So you purchase the art. Some of it moves, some of it's motion, some of it's not. But depending on what night it is or what theme we're going with, we can actually change those two frames with new digital art, which I thought was pretty cool.
What's kind of neat about those monitors is that Sam had the idea of framing them, so it looks like a legitimate art piece.
Yeah, that actually looks really
the
cool.
frame actually kind of brings it all together if you want to take a look at it. And that's what's really neat there is that, I think our goal was really to stimulate all the senses, like from from the visual of the cocktail, the garnishes, the presentation, the smell of the cocktail, the smell of the aroma of our speakeasy. Sam can speak to that a little bit more than I can. Everything was important. Everything from visual to all senses. We were really focused on, well, aside from a quality, really nice cocktail and having the right music, what else would want to keep people here? And honestly, you can look at any angle here, and there's always something there that's going to capture your eye, from the art to different aesthetics that we're bringing in.
It's funny, we've been open for I guess going on 5 months.
Finishing 4
months. And still to this day, we kind of still tweak and add a couple of things just to kind of, like Ray mentioned, no matter where you sit, everywhere is a view. There's no bad seating here. Depending where you sit, you might have a different experience. Like, I think the experience is different at the bar because you see your bartenders making your nice cocktail, or even if you kind of sit on a couch, that's still also a different experience with a great view. Going back to the scent is called My Way. My Way is a song from Frank Sinatra, but that's kind of why I got it initially, but it just happened to smell really good, so we kept it.
Yeah. And our inspiration for that was, again, the fact that we were able to travel quite a bit together And we'd go into certain establishments where there's certain kind of nicer end hotels
The
or
main place is Vegas.
yeah.
Anytime you walk into a hotel,
You
in
walk
Vegas,
into the
it has to
Venetian,
smell.
you walk into the Cosmopolitan. As soon as you open those doors, there's this aroma, and you're like, "I'm here," and that's kind of what we were trying to bring here to Gatsby's. It's a commercial grade scent or mechanism that every so often kind of throws out that beautiful aroma, and so when you walk in, again, it's also just the smell. Like
The smell.
every time you come in, you know you're at Gatsby's. You know, there's as soon as you walk in through that narrow hallway into that kind of side door, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm here. Gatsby's is special, and not just visually, but just the aroma itself and visually, what you're able to capture here.
Very cool. Like I love the fact that what you guys have been able to do, because the place, like I said, I've been here before and I did the live on here, and the place is like how many square feet are we talking here?
18? About 1,800 square feet,
200 square feet,
maybe a little less.
a little less.
Yeah, less
Well-
as far as the floor space.
Okay,
When you take into account just floor space, a little less than that.
but the fact that you guys, like you said, you tried working all the senses, right down to the paint, to the cocktails, to like the lighting, to the framing on the digital
glassware.
art. It's like,
Yeah, even the glassware we're very particular about the glassware as well. Like a gimlet should be served in a particular coupe. Those coupes were also used back in the 20s for champagne. They're crystal. Like, we have some high-end champagne. You get a crystal champagne glass for that. So there are even tiers to the glassware as well.
very, very nice. Like I said, it's outstanding what you guys have done with the bar, with I guess with the space and basically everything. Like, I'm not very like familiar when it comes down to like modern speakeasies. Like I didn't go that deep into my research, but like the speakeasies that I did see, or like those old school ones that you mentioned, and again, I can't really say much when it comes to the modern ones, but I mean when it comes to really like catching attention from every little corner, like, you guys pretty much nailed it. So
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, even to add to that, even when we opened, we had a certain kind of lighting in the bathrooms. We changed that and we put chandeliers in the bathrooms. There's 1920s art in both bathrooms, 1920s black and white frames, in our patio. And with the patio, we really try to make it an extension of the interior. We wanted people to go outside and still have the same type of experience and ambiance as we do inside. So that took a lot of work too. We have area rugs inside. You have some nice outdoor area rugs outside. You have some LED lighting, and we have some 1920s art out there as well. So that's something that we just, like Sam mentioned, we continue to add more and more. And if you're frequent, it's noticeable. And for
Yeah.
those coming in for the first time, I mean, it's a treat.
that's for sure. Let's see. Let's move on right to the next question here. What strategies do you employ to stay authentic to the speakeasy era while adapting to modern taste and trends?
Yeah, so that goes back to kind of what we discussed earlier, is really sticking to our guns, sticking to a true speakeasy vibe. The music is a big part of that. And I think even though, Laredo prefers a certain type of genre of music and a certain type of aesthetics, we always felt that there was an opportunity there for people that really wanted a true cocktail lounge, or as we call it, a cocktail room. And that is, you have the leather couches, you have nice leather seating. It's a very intimate ambiance, a very intimate experience. And I think what allowed us to stick to that is the fact that so far we've been able to get the clientele that was really looking for that here in Laredo.
Yeah.
And I think aside from, and a lot of the guests that we see here, are frequents of other establishments that are similar, not aesthetically, but as far as a sit down type of lounge, the Laredo Country Club or Border Foundry, a place where you can really sit down. You're still going to hear music in the background, but it's not going to be to the point where you have to yell or scream to have a conversation.
Yeah.
You can have a conversation where we're having now, and it's still very pleasing.
Yeah.
So I think really
That's really
it's
true.
not so much change. It's us making a decision to stick to our guns, and it's not that things haven't changed here. It's that there is a cluster of people here that would prefer this over what the standard is across the community.
That is
Yeah.
true. Very, very true.
Also the ambiance. You walk in, it's dim, it's dim lighting. We have these lamps in every table. Like Ray mentioned, it's a place where you can come with your friends or your significant other and just have a couple of cocktails and have a conversation
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
dim light setting.
And I think the cherry on top is really our bartenders slash mixologists. I mean, I think they're absolutely amazing. I think we got so lucky, especially here in town, to get really great mixologists that really bought into our idea. You know, just because we have an idea, Sam and I can't do this alone. We needed a good team to do it, and we have an exceptional team. And I can't speak more highly of the team that we have here and what they've been able to do with our establishment as far as the quality of the cocktail, the presentation of a cocktail, and ultimately entertaining our guests.
The relationship they have with our guests.
They build a rapport, and I think that's really important. And I think that's what helps us to stick to our guns. It's very intimate. This isn't a place that our capacity is 65, 70 inside, maybe 70 inside, another 40 outside. So let's say 110 total. But our servers and our bartenders have done a great job of really building that relationship with our clients. And at the end of the day, they're not just entertaining, but they're getting a quality cocktail. I think we pride ourselves in that cocktail. It's seeing that consistency across our mixologists or bartenders across the board. If somebody orders a gimlet or a Clover Club and it's a different bartender making it for that same table, it tastes exactly the same way. I think that's what we've been able to do, is show that consistency.
That's true. The authenticity of this place is just completely insane. Like you say, right down to your team here, which I've had the honor of interviewing as well. I'll leave the link for that one down there as well. And there's certain not your average Joe here in Laredo, but those people that are just looking for something different other than like your typical go-to stuff that the home city here Laredo has. So I guess as long as you guys, like you say, you stick to your guns and you keep finding these certain people that are just like want something a little bit more, something a little bit different,
Yeah.
you're gonna keep
Yeah. I
doing.
think also right now we have a very somewhat of a limited menu. What we're coming out with is kind of a booklet of a cocktail menu, including appetizers, and they're kind of very minimalistic, very nice presented appetizers. It's going to be a 24-page booklet. Now that's not 24 pages of cocktails. As it's going to be 12 pages of cocktails, and then as you flip it on the left side of that, as you flip over the booklet, you'll see some sketch art of our signature cocktails or an art piece of that particular liquor, like let's say it's tequila. So you'll see some sort of agave theme art that's part of that, a part of that menu, and so on for your gins, your bourbons, your rums, and then a nice little background on Gatsby's and how we came to be. So I'm very excited about that. And just as excited about that, I am excited about our little appetizer menu as well. Because what we do see is a lot of people wanting to order food. What's great about Gatsby's is we're within walking distance of Rocha's, which is our restaurant, our restaurant. And so a lot of our clients do happen to order from there. And then they can, dine in here.
Just walk right over here.
Just walk right over here. And we have a server from Rocha's providing the food to our Gatsby's guests.
Very
So,
cool. Very
yeah.
cool. And when is the new menu and the food menu coming up soon here at
Yeah.
Gatsby's? That's what a lot of people want to know now.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get that menu out by the third week of May. So,
Okay.
maybe 4 weeks from now we can have that full menu out. Yeah, like I said, I think what helps us out a lot too is that we're not afraid to tweak. Like overall, we're going to keep the ambiance and the type of environment that we want, but we're always open to changing certain things aesthetically that complement what we already have. Whether it's new cocktails or something with regard to like the actual floor space or the appetizer menu, but it's something that just complements what we already have. So it's only just adding to your experience.
Very, very nice. So we're getting that food menu and brand new menu pretty soon. And what was that date one more time?
I would say third week of April. So that is, I don't know, what day is that?
Mid-March.
Mid-May. We're looking at probably by the the week of the 13th of May, we should have that menu out. So the thing that's taking us the long bless you.
Bless you.
The thing that's taking us the longest with that is not so much the cocktails because we have those on point, but it's really coming up with the sketch art. I don't want to show something that we don't have. So when it comes to our cocktails, it's taking a snapshot of that cocktail and actually creating a sketch art of that cocktail for the menu. So that's what's taking us the longest, but it's well worth it. I mean, we've seen it in other speakeasies that we've been to, but I haven't seen it here yet in Laredo. It's that type of menu where you actually see like art of your cocktails or some sort of art piece that has to do with that particular liquor. So that's what's taking us the longest, but slowly but surely we'll get there. Yeah.
Very cool. The very, very unique artistic menu is coming out very, very soon, guys. So be on the lookout for that. I will leave the website to Gatsby's and the description so you guys can go and check that out. And please come over and have a drink here, talk, connect, and have some fun here with us. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one. In what ways do you plan to innovate and evolve and experience offered at your speakeasy bar in the future?
I can start off with that. I think, we'll go on to this a little later, but it's worth mentioning now. Currently, we're spread. We have Rocha's Bar and Grill, which is a great restaurant here, and I highly recommend everyone to try it. We got breakfast, brunch, lunch, and dinner, and bang for your buck. It's not going to get any better. And I put my money where my mouth is on that. So I highly recommend everybody try Rocha's. We've also done a lot of rebranding for Rocha's, making it more of a dining experience with Spanish acoustic music, mariachis, internacional type of environment, which has changed a lot from what Rocha's was early on. But to answer your question, once we get our rooftop open, which we'll talk more about that, our goal here is to bring live jazz entertainment. Whether it's a solo artist or a small jazz band, but bring that real jazz experience here. Aside from the playlist that we have, but I think that would help quite a bit. And also, it's not something I see quite a bit in town to have an actual jazz band playing in many establishments here.
That's
I
actually
think this
true.
place lends to it from the backsplash to the ambiance, to the total ambiance itself. I think that would be really great to actually see some live jazz here at Gatsby's. And we're looking at maybe Wednesdays, Thursdays, possibly Fridays. We have this really cool group that Sam and my younger brother Roland. Again, Sam's lived in San Antonio for a long time. They're called Johnny P and the Wise Guys. And we had them here. We had them at Rocha's when we had our grand opening. We had them for our 1 year anniversary. And they're a legitimate great jazz band. All of them are from Jersey, New York, and eventually settled in San Antonio. So that's something we'd like to bring here as well. I think bringing that ambiance along with the extended menu is going to help a lot. And even changing a few things aesthetically on the patio. So like I said, there's not a week that goes by where we're not already trying to be innovative and trying to add more to what we already have.
Yeah, I think that's just like any really business in general, where you're always trying to make it one step better than it already is. And I'm psyched for that whole jazz band thing. Like that's totally something that, like you said, not nowhere Laredo has. Like we got mariachis, we got Tejano bands and all that stuff, but we don't got no jazz anywhere around here. So that would be really cool to see that for a change.
I think the space is perfect for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not square footage isn't huge. Nice live jazz with the right crowd. I think it'll be a huge hit. And I think something that, again, like I said, our goal is always anything that we do, whether it was Rocha's Bar and Grill, which we've changed significantly over the years, or whether it's Gatsby's or what will soon be Rise, the rooftop lounge, we're always trying to bring something different. We never try to take anything from anybody here locally. Sorry about that. Good job, Isis.
It's all good.
Hey,
you guys
great job.
good?
Hey, just got a shout out. Hey, great job, Isis. That's Isis, one of our best mixologists, dropping things all over the place. But anyway, we always try to bring something that's just a little bit different. And what's kind of it's nice. What we've seen a lot is people try, and it makes sense. It's par for the course across any community. you bring something new, and other people try to do that as well, and we, there's no problem with that. What I think what we do really well is really support our local industry, whether it's our bars or restaurants, all local. We really try to support the entire community, the bar restaurant community. But what's really neat about what we do is that we bring something creative and we bring something new, and I think the more people that are able to take that as an inspiration to do something different for themselves, all the better, all the more better for Laredo.
It really is like I was mentioning, Laredo does need a little bit of change, and like how we were mentioning earlier, like trying to stay as unique as possible. I think for me, or for not for me, but for the businesses here that open, that's really the challenge, is just staying true to what their business is and what their ambiance is or what their theme is. So again, I wish you guys luck with that. Hopefully you
Thank
guys like I really really do believe you guys are going to stick to your guns. I really
Yeah.
really do.
No, yeah, we will. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, the feedback has been great, and we didn't. I guess, at least me personally, I don't know. Maybe Sam, you can talk a little bit about this, but I I almost had no expectation. Like I wasn't sure what kind of crowd we were going to get, whether people were going to enjoy it, or it was just going to be maybe a 1 week wonder. Like, oh, it hits 1 week, and maybe people figure out, oh, that's not something they prefer. They prefer whatever the norm is across the community. But
Sure.
we've been very fortunate to get some really really great guests coming in. Whether it's whether it's your vibe or not, you come in and you're still kind of surprised by it, and you enjoy it. I think the main thing there is really kind of giving people a shell shocking moment. And what I mean by that is, and I know you had this experience when you first got here, is you go through scanning the barcode, right, the QR code. You walk into a very narrow, dark hallway with some strobe lighting, and that's all you see, and you feel
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know about claustrophobic, but it's kind of like I'm not sure what I'm going to walk into, and then you turn the corner and it opens up into this like
Yeah.
really beautiful,
It,
nice.
it was
like,
it was a bit sketchy for in my end, because for one, the signal in my phone, not in my fiance's phone, got completely lost. And the fact that it's just a red door in a really dark corner in
Right.
like in a parking lot,
yeah.
and it's like, okay, I feel like I'm about to get mugged at some point or something. But then you walk in and it's like, okay, scary dark hallway. Okay, that's cool. I like scary things. But then you walk in and it's like completely new different world.
Yeah, it lends itself to wanting to interact. It lends
Yeah.
itself to, the energy kind of changes a little bit, and that's kind of the whole goal. But ultimately, what you see when you kind of turn the corner is people sitting down, lounging, and kind of having good conversation.
Yep.
And then you see kind of a show in the background in our bar, and you're like, oh wow, this is a show. Like, this is entertainment, and that's what we really try to emphasize to people is, working here or working in any of our establishments, we want you to be a part of that experience. We want you to be entertainers. Ultimately, when you walk in, you're center stage. And I think Angela's a good example of that. EC's Isis is a good example of that. Or the bartenders, is that they really put on that show for you. So you're always on cue. You're always on point. You're always knowing that somebody's watching what you're doing, and what you're doing is very pleasing, and they're stimulated by that experience that they're having with you.
And very entertained, especially when my good friend Angelo here starts doing the whole bottle flipping thing.
Yeah.
That seems like a real like
Yeah, we're
crowd
playing with
pleaser.
some pyrotechnics type of stuff.
I
So
saw that
we're very
too. I
excited
saw
about
that
playing
one.
with some fire, in a safe way.
Of
Very
course,
safe,
of course.
But nonetheless, we want you to come in and be entertained. It's not just about hanging out with friends and family or whomever you're with and enjoying the ambiance, but ultimately you kind of look around and you're always kind of engaged in some way, because something's always kind of capturing your eye. So
That's actually true. Like again, if you guys haven't stopped by Gatsby's, you need to. Like everything is just gonna, every corner, every dark blue corner, every light, every cup, every cocktail. It's just gonna catch your eye. You're not gonna be bored. You're just gonna always have something to just look at and talk about when you get home, when you get out of here. That's for sure. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one here. Shifting focus to your restaurant. I'm going to mention your restaurant now here. What principles guide your culinary vision, and how do you ensure synergy between the speakeasy and the dining experience?
That's all my
Your
dad.
father.
Your dad.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So Rocha's, man, what year was that? 2003. El Rey de Menudo.
Yeah.
So my dad um, was, he's always been an entrepreneur. He's had jewelry stores in the 80s in downtown. He had a zoot suit store,
Clothing
which there's
store.
there was a really cool picture of my dad, my mom, myself, and his employees at the bar. So
I'll
if
try
you
to
guys
get
are
a
here,
picture
you gotta-
when the podcast
it's pretty.
during this
It's a
part
black
here.
and white photo. My dad wearing a zoot suit, and I'm wearing like this suspenders and this thing. It was a grand opening to a zoot suit store downtown. But my dad's always been an entrepreneur, but his love has always been the kitchen. His love has always been cooking. It's been food, and even when we were growing up, man, I'll make the long story short, but he would cook for party of seven, and and he'd make a complete mess. Food was amazing, on point, and it was really tough to the cleaning was the tough part.
Yeah.
So we as kids, we were every day we all each had to clean all his mess. But he would make like even though it was food for seven, he'd make food for 15, 20 people.
And
It was
dirty
just-
every dish that
every
we
fucking-
had.
every dish.
Every dish.
every dish. It was a mess. But anyway, my point is, my dad had a love for food, really at a really young age. And then, even though he had several different businesses, ultimately his passion, his dream was to have his own restaurant. So this was back in '03. He was working at a Paul Young dealership.
Yeah.
He was a finance manager.
Finance manager,
Sales manager, finance manager, different managerial positions. But then he finally pulled the trigger and said, "You know what? I'm going to do that full time. On the weekends, I'm going to open up a small hole in the wall on San Bernardo called El Rey de Menudo." And it was open for 36 straight hours. So he would cook and we would serve and help in the kitchen. But we were living in different areas across Texas. I was living in Austin. My brothers were living in San Antonio. My sister was living with me in Austin. So we would drive down every weekend and we would take shifts. And we were open for 36 straight hours. We would take 12-hour shifts, and then once your shift was over, you crash out of my Jeep and you sleep for a few hours, and then it was your shift. So that's how my dad started. It was a really
That's
kind of mom and pop
crazy, man.
small joint, and it was us just pushing. And then after the 36 straight hours during the weekend, once we'd close, he'd go back to his regular job. And it was absolutely nuts.
Sounds like total fucking madness.
It was madness. It was crazy. But that was his dream. That was his passion. So that's what he wanted to do. And he finally did it. And then a couple years after that, we had an opportunity my dad got an opportunity to open up downtown at the first floor of the Hamilton Hotel. And that was called Rochas del Catan. And Catan is, translation, it's alligator gar. So it's a particular fish. It's not something that's really served quite a bit, and that you don't see in very many establishments. I don't think there's one in Laredo I've seen yet that serves Catan. You may find some in the Valley area, but not very many. So that was his signature dish. It was Catan. And he was like, you know what, let me bring this here to Laredo in my way, with his recipe, with his, particular batter. And that's how he started Rochas del Catan. And that was open, from like 8 to 3 downtown area. From, I think that was, we were in San Bernardo 03, 08,
Yeah.
08,
You're right.
yeah, 08 to 2018, he was downtown, called Rochas del Catan. And then I'm trying to make the long story short, but I'm not doing a very good job of that.
It's all good.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
good.
The city bought the building, raised his rent. He had to get out, and he found this establishment here by the gun arena, the
Okay.
Arena Gun Club,
Mhm.
and the owners there were frequents of Rochas del Catan. So my dad, kind of talked to them, and the spot came open, and we built Rochas, and we've been here since 2019. Now, COVID had a big part to do with how we had to pivot. Rochas Bar and Grill should have been very similar to what the ambiance was downtown, but COVID really changed that. There was only a particular age demographic that was coming out during the COVID time, so we pivoted, and short term that helped us, but long term it really hurt us. And now what we're doing is a lot of rebranding. We've been rebranding now for about 6 months, and we're really turning Rochas into an establishment that's a great breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner environment. You got the right kind of setting with the right kind of ambiance with the right type of music that lends itself to that type of clientele. And now what we have is, you have more of the Spanish acoustic music, you have mariachis, you have international Spanish acoustic type of environment, which really has changed quite a bit from the COVID times. The COVID times were really more about, having that kind of BPM that was a little higher, that kind of reggaeton, because that's what people wanted. But that's initially not what we ever wanted of Rochas.
That was never the vision. It's just something we had to do.
You don't open up and then 4 months later you have to close down because COVID came in. We just said, well, we'll pivot and we'll adapt to the type of crowd that's still coming out during that time. And
Yeah.
that in the short term it helped us, but long term it hurt us. And now we've really changed Rochas into an entirely different ambiance, an entirely different experience. And bang for your buck doesn't get any better. I always tell people we're kind of like the Mexican version of a cheesecake factory. I mean, you can get almost anything there.
That's cool.
And the portions are not small. Yeah.
Very, very cool. That's a crazy story. How your dad just came about to actually, coming to Rochas. That establishment. When did you say that did it close down? The one
Downtown?
he had downtown.
That was 18.
2018.
Yeah, 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not that long ago then.
Yeah. We opened up Rochas Bar and Grill in 2019.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story. It's a very, very crazy origin. So that's the word I was looking for. Origin story. The fact that you guys just stayed on. Well, really, your dad kept you guys on the hustle to keep just to make his dream come true. But I
Yeah.
mean, it all worked out in the end, right?
Yeah. I mean, when Sam and I were living in Puerto Rico for a year prior to opening up Rochas, Angelo. Nothing?
Sure.
Two. Sam and I looked at each other in PR and we're like, okay, well, our stint there is done and we can talk about that at some point. That's a whole different story for maybe a different time. But we looked at each other and we're like, you know what, let's do it. Let's help out Pops. Like, let's get it done. 2 years, we'll get it right and we're out.
Yeah.
And we're going to year 5. We're still here. so whatever we thought we could do, no, it's, this industry is very difficult. I commend anybody that goes into this industry. It's quite difficult, and more so in Laredo. We always say like you make it here, you can make it north of here easy. It's a tough town, so that's why we're always so gung ho and really trying to look at try to think outside the box to keep things creative and keep things entertaining and keep people wanting to come back.
That's actually true. And how you mentioned that doing anything here in Laredo is really it's very challenging because we have a very, very tough crowd, very tough culture, I guess you could say, because we come from a total Hispanic, Latino, Mexican backgrounds, and all of them, as far as I've known for my entire life, they're very, how do I put it, sarcastic in a very so they're being supportive, but that's their mechanism is being sarcastic, but it's also very helpful because it pushes you to do your best.
Right.
Or that's what I think, and that's what even for what I do, people just I think that they think oh, this is super super easy stuff, or this guy's lazy, or or how they say se creen famoso or something like that.
Yeah.
That type of
it's like the George
judgment.
Lopez type of skit. Yeah.
Pretty much.
You can't feel too good about yourself because the family and your friends will keep you grounded in Latino culture.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, but you gotta love that.
Yeah.
At least we do.
It's a push.
Yeah, it's a push. It's a push for sure. But that's why we, I think that's what's important about us is that, we really don't. There's a lot of there's a lot of white noise outside of what we do, but we really have kind of horse blinders on when it comes to what we're trying to build and what we try to bring to Laredo. There's always going to be people there that are going to be critical, but ultimately we keep ourselves even keel. And even though we may get that kind of backlash, we're fortunate to grow up in a really great family with great parents, and we support those that may not even support this type of endeavor, right? But ultimately we can feel good about ourselves because at the end of the day we stick to our guns as far as who we are as human beings. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Let's see. Let's move on to the next question here. The next question Managing multiple businesses requires effective delegation and organization. How do you both divide your time and attention among your various ventures?
I'll let you kind of take the lead there on that one.
So
Yeah.
I handle the financing,
Okay.
and Ray handles operations. Not to say I won't handle operations, and he won't pull a trigger on something that needs to be purchased.
Okay.
I currently live with my brother, and I just saw him 30 minutes ago or an hour ago, and he says, "Man, I haven't really seen you, but you live with me because we're kind of both in two different directions."
Okay.
We have a lot of stuff going on right now. Obviously, we have Rocha's Bar and Grill, and we have Gatsby's, which is fairly new, and then we're in the process of opening up a rooftop lounge. So we're kind of all over the place at a constant, but at one point we kind of just have a small conversation and we go on through our day. Any issues we address right away, and we fix, and then we kind of just keep on going to the next. There's always a problem. There's always something that needs to be fixed, but at the same time, there's so much to do. But we just find a way to balance, and at one point, we meet in the middle, and everything turns out okay. And we have a great management staff. We've had great employees. A lot of our employees have been with us a long time. Our manager has been with us since we opened Rocha's. We let them know what we're doing and what direction we're going in to keep them involved, keep them excited, keep them motivated. And I'm not saying this is easy because this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Same, for sure.
But we make it work.
I think the big thing there are your employees. What I mentioned earlier about, Sam and I having a concept or ideas of something we want to do, but it doesn't work unless you have a good team to be able to implement what we want to bring. And as Sam mentioned, I think we have a chef, we have two servers that have been with us for over 10 years. And
14 years,
14
I
years.
think.
That is absolutely nuts in this industry. So we're extremely fortunate. And I think what Sam and I do really well, including my dad, because everything that we do from within this industry, we learn from my dad. And that is communication with your employees, the expectation, and respect. And if you give that to your employees, you show that to your employees, you'll see it in return. And I think that's what we've been able to do really well. There's a lot of things that I can say we haven't done well and we need to improve on. But I think one thing that we do well is have that communication, have that respect with our employees, because ultimately they're the ones that are running the show, so to speak.
They're the face of your business.
Yeah, they're a part of that business. We tell people when they first come in, like, you're part of our family now, and we will, support you and we'll help you just the way that you help us. But we want that return as well from you. So it's really creating that expectation, that standard right off the bat that I think helps quite a bit with what we're able to do and with our staffing.
I totally 100% back that up, because till this day I still have yet to have worked in an environment where, like how you say, where they communicate and respect. Because I think it kind of goes right down back to the whole culture and the community here, how they're kind of like, I guess maybe been raised a certain way for such a long time, where it's kind of also reflects on their job and work as well. So the fact that you guys actually take the time and talk to your team and listen to their ideas and actually let them actually go at them, that's like pure genius, and that's basically like the best formula to like the best business in the future. So
Yeah, so far so
We don't
good.
know it all. Like there's times when we meet our management staff or even certain employees and they have an idea. We obviously have a discussion whether we want to implement it or not, or we feel, why didn't we think of that? Something that makes us more efficient. We don't, just because we own
don't-
an establishment
yeah.
doesn't mean
We
that
don't pretend to know everything.
yeah,
I think that's what's different between us and maybe other establishments. I'm not, that's not disrespect to other establishments. I think
that's actually
we really-
that's actually really big to actually admit the fact that you guys can actually say that, because some people will not admit that, and that's actually kind of is the hugest downfall when it comes to people who run businesses, because I've seen it with personally myself. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. You know, if they have more experience in certain areas that we do, hey, like we're open to it.
Mhm.
Give us an idea of what you think would work here, whether it's a cocktail or an event or something that we can do to pivot from where we're at right now to make it better. Well, you know, everybody wins that way. And then I think that what helps with that when you're really taking in what your staff or your employees are saying is they also feel respected. It's like, oh, this owner respects what I have to say. This owner is actually taking what I'm saying and listening to what I think would work. And I don't think you know, I think that's very rare to really take in some advice or suggestions from your employees and say, you know what, let's run with it and let's see what happens. Let's give it a shot. We don't know until we know.
Great, and if it doesn't, it's okay.
It's okay. We'll pivot.
yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. Well, why not? Let's give it a shot.
Like, again, that's actually like the best thing that you can possibly do for your business. It's just like taking the ideas from your team and trying it out, even work or they don't. Like you said, there's always pivoting, there's always a way out, there's always a game. You always got to have a game plan, right? So that's awesome of you.
Yeah, I think nothing is certain. Like,
Yeah.
there's no idea that's just to the point where you know, there's always flexibility. There's always ways to adjust to what's not working, and we continue to adjust until something works. Now with Gatsby's, we've been very fortunate. Everything we've been wanting to do, we've been able to do, and with success.
But that also came from our experience when we did Rocha's. Like
100%.
Rocha's is not what it was when we first walked in there. Going back to even the design, we were a part of that, and then rebranding, kind of a redesign of the design.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Yeah.
logo.
I was gonna
That was
mention
difficult.
like you guys already have kind of sort of like some knowledge and some what's it called, some background on actually running the business. So I feel like when you open Gatsby's, you already had
Yeah.
a really good idea as what you were gonna open.
Because
Yeah.
obviously, as we made mistakes, which we did, many mistakes, but those mistakes cost money, right? For us, it did. And at that point, well, you got to learn from that. So when Gatsby's came into play, we were pretty set on what
We weren't going to
wanted.
make the same mistake again. You know,
Oh, for sure.
We're gonna fix what we needed to fix and make sure that the issues that we saw opening up Rochas wouldn't happen at Gatsby's or Rise, the rooftop that we're opening. And then again, like the rebranding was huge for us. I don't know if there's anything more difficult within the industry to really try to rebrand. Like that is really hard to change people's perspective of what a place was compared to what it is now is very difficult.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
And yeah, so Rocha's Bar and Grill, we opened up in 2019. It turned into something that, not that we didn't want, that we didn't expect, but it's COVID. It's sink or swim. We had to survive. We had to stay open.
Yeah, of course.
So we got through COVID, and then I guess maybe a year ago, as we started talking about how do we rebrand and what does that consist of? Okay, well now we want to, let's change the interior a little bit. New tables, new chair, new patio, cover the patio, new fixtures, new logo, new sign, right? A complete rebrand. And what does that do? So as we rebranded, and I'll be brutally honest with you, our sales decreased. But why? Because you lost a certain type of clientele.
Yeah,
Now-
because they were already accustomed to something already.
Correct. So a lot of establishments that pivot don't want to rebrand and lose that percentage in sales.
Mhm.
So they kind of stick to what's working for them, but it's not what we wanted.
Yeah.
So we took a step back
Yeah.
or two to take 3 steps forward. And a lot of businesses are not willing to risk that. That's something that we kind of knew was going to come, and we were somewhat prepared for it.
You guys just
But-
took the risk
But in
anyway.
the long run,
It's a risk.
don't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it had to happen because ultimately you don't want to have an establishment that you're not proud of. And we,
Of course.
you know, like I said earlier, food's second to none. And I put my money where my mouth is on that. But the ambiance during COVID, relatively post-COVID, wasn't there as far as the kind of clientele that we wanted. So to Sam's point, from the font of Rochas to the menu to the tables and the chairs to bringing a roof over the patio to the music changed significantly. But if we didn't do that, ultimately, whether whether we're here 10 years from now or not, we can at least say, you know what, we're proud of what we did. We changed it the way that it needed to be, and we had the right kind of clientele that we wanted. And that was Rochas, which again, we were able to do that because this became open, because there's other sources of revenue coming in now. Let's rebrand and bring in, have Rochas be what Rochas initially should have been, and we
Okay.
can still bring that extra revenue from Gatsby's and from we're doing the rooftop.
At that point, you create not knowing that Gatsby's was going to be a Gatsby's. We thought about that name, not knowing it was even going to be a speakeasy. It was just an opportunity to grow. So at that point, as we were under construction with Gatsby's, we were rebranding the Rochas. As we finished rebranding the Rochas, we opened up Gatsby's. As we opened up Gatsby's, we were under construction at Rise. So there's all these moving parts, and they're still going on a constant, every day. But it keeps us going. It's exciting. We're learning a lot.
It's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's stressful, but you wake up every morning, you're like, shit, it's like, is today going to be a good day? Like, you're hoping and you're pushing, and you think like, okay, well, have we done enough from a promo standpoint? Have we done enough from a marketing standpoint? Have we pushed the way we need to push? There's no day that's similar to the day before.
Sure.
Every day is a new, it's another like there's something going on where there's some other hurdle we got to get over, and it's just nonstop. I don't think we've had a day since we've come back since 2019 where we don't wake up and think like, okay, well, what do we have to do today that's different from the day before? Now you obviously see some consistencies with regard to our food and our ambiance, but nonetheless, from a marketing standpoint, it's always trying to figure out what works from a marketing standpoint. What can I do to make sure that the masses, all our entire community of Laredo, and then slightly north or south of that, know of what we're doing, know about the rebranding, know about how great of a place we have. And that's the difficult part. There's still people, we've been here, we're on year 5. There's still a lot of people in our community, in Laredo, proper Laredo, that still don't know we're here. So we got to keep on keeping on, right? Like, we got to keep on going and push it as much as we can push it.
True. And that part where you mentioned where you guys are just trying new things and stuff like that. There's a saying that goes that we as human beings, we're born creative. We're born to create. So the fact that you guys are taking the chances and actually, jumping, how do they call it, doing the leap of faith, and just risking it, knowing that there might be outcomes, consequences, and whatnot. The fact that you guys are just like doing it, or it's just like it's awesome. Just the fact that you guys are keeping it going.
Yeah,
we take plenty of risks.
It's a gamble.
It's fine. You can cuss here.
It's a fucking gamble. Like anything we've done, it's a gamble. And yeah, we tend to be, we tend to gamble on occasion.
Roll the dice here and there.
We roll the dice. So we roll the dice on ourselves. And if we win, great. And if we don't, well, fine. We'll pivot and we'll make something happen, and we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's whatever we build, whatever happens, at the end of the day, we feel confident enough with the relationships that we have internally with our family that ultimately we're going to be okay either way. But let's just continue to push and push on and see if we can and entertain and bring something different here while still being able to provide for our families.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very fucking inspiring. So I hope all of you out there who are watching and or listening are actually taking notes right now. And maybe if you are on side note, besides the whole interview questions, what do you guys consider yourself? Entrepreneurs, business entrepreneurs? What do you guys even consider yourself?
I would say
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Entrepreneurship. I think we're entrepreneurs for sure. I think we've had Rocha's Bar and Grill. We have Gatsby's. We're building a rooftop lounge, which is very Miami Tulum type of ambiance. A lot of greens, palm trees, very colorful. And then aside from that, I've done clinical research for 20 years in psychiatry and neurology, and that's something we want to bring in to Laredo as well. Laredo is number 1 in dementia prevalence in the state of Texas, ranked 9th in the country. That's that's my background. So I would like to find ways to help underserved. Almost, I think, what is it, 35% are uninsured in Laredo. So we are trying to build a research facility that can provide services, an alternative to medical services. So that's something else we're going into, which is an entirely different industry. So yeah, I think entrepreneurship is the right word. Entrepreneurs. It's not just this industry, which is, I've been in the psychiatric clinical research industry. I've been in public relations in Puerto Rico. Now in the restaurant bar industry. Sam obviously can tell you a little bit more about his background, but we've been in so many industries, and if you even put all those together, there's nothing more difficult than the restaurant bar industry, in my opinion.
Okay.
And that's having 20 years of experience working with acute
shit.
psychiatric patients in a clinical setting. And that is easier than what we're doing now.
Damn.
Yeah. And then Sam can talk
So I
a little
was,
bit about his
I was in
background.
the auto industry for 21 years. I actually started working with my father at Paul Young. And then...
So real quick, can you get the mic just a little bit closer? There you go.
I started working at Paul Young with my father. I was 17 years old, washing cars at a service department. And kind of just... I guess I was in high school, went to college in San Antonio, started selling cars while I was going to school. As I got further in the car business, I ended up running a car dealership, a high-end Ferrari, Maserati, Jaguar. So I was in the auto industry for 21 years, managing a dealership, like, where it came to sales or an accounting department or even fix ops, which is car repair, right? Going back to what Ray just said, this is the hardest thing we've ever done. This is just difficult.
Not just the industry,
To find the formula.
but the location, like geographically, Laredo. It's not
Location.
It's tough.
Location.
It's tough. Like I said, I think Sam and I'm more conservative when it comes to numbers. If we had Rocha's Bar and Grill, Gatsby's Cocktail Room, and Rise Rooftop Lounge, which are entities at some point once Rise is up and running. If we were San Antonio North, you would see 3 to 4 times the profit mark. It's 3 to 4 times profit.
1,000%.
3 to 4 times revenue, easy. But that's how difficult it is here. Because although Laredo is, I think we're 275, maybe 300 if you
It's
include
350.
undocumented.
350.
That's what
Yeah,
I think that's the
include
last
undocumented.
number I got.
Okay.
Either way, it's not like everybody tries to compare Laredo to the Valley, and it is quite different. The Valley as a totality, like as a whole, is about 1 million people.
Okay.
If you include all the cities that are part of the Rio Grande Valley, area. Laredo's at 350 at best, but yet nonetheless, it's a different group of people. It's very different to find success here than it would even be in the Valley, which is different than the success you could find in San Antonio or Austin or north of that. So, like Sam said, I think that's where the grind comes in, where, the grind here is a little bit different if we were north of here. But at the end of the day, we're here with family. We're here with my mom, my dad, and that's why we're here. And we were fortunate enough to build something that we thought would work really well, aside from the restaurant. And but to Sam's point and to your question, it's just a lot more difficult here than it would have been anywhere else. Yeah. Laredo,
That's
again,
true.
like you said, it's unique in very many ways. And when I try to explain that to people that have not been here, it's very difficult for them to understand it. You got
It's
Laredo's
just
like
those situations
it's a
where
border
you
town
just
and
have to be here.
You got to be here to understand it.
Yeah.
I think you
You
have
gotta
the
be
United
here.
States, and then you have Laredo. I think Laredo is just that
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, it's
But,
that
I'm
unique.
just,
Yep.
from
You
my
have all
personal
the United
experience.
States, and then you have Laredo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Honestly, dude, like Laredo is like its own little culture, like within itself. And I'm not talking about like the whole Mexican
no. Yeah.
thing. It's just like it's
Not
literally
negative
its
or
own thing.
positive. It's just different.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Just different.
Yeah.
And the fact that you mentioned that it's different, how you say grinding here compared to like in the Valley, you said, that just blew my mind. Like, exactly how does that differentiate? And exactly like what is the difference?
I won't go into many.
Like I can't compute it right now.
I won't go into many specifics, but I'll do like broad strokes. So, a part of that is the kind of support that you see in the valley between, like, within businesses within the same industry.
Okay.
And then you have the city standpoint where, the city council and the cities are run very differently than Laredo's run.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of caveats to it. And without, saying something positive or negative, what I will say, it's very different to try to open an establishment in Laredo compared to an establishment in the Valley. And that's kind of the tough part, right? Is how can I open? What do I need to open? What kind of permits do I need? What kind of funding can I get from my banks? Like, from A to Z, it's black and white.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that they're doing well, but they have the resources to do it differently. Because you're looking at, let's say, all of all of Rio Grande Valley, you're looking at 1 million population total, and you're looking at different precincts or districts and different city council. But ultimately, they find a way to find some similarities between those cities to find ways to help local businesses. I'm not saying that Laredo doesn't. It's just a little bit more difficult to get to the right person, to connect to the right city department to be able to move forward.
Okay.
And I think that's the part that becomes quite challenging, is to make sure that you've abided by all the codes. Do the codes change? Do I have that? Do I know that the codes have changed? Do I know what I need to do? Does that code change from year to year?
Are you grandfathered in?
Are you grandfathered in? No, that's a fair point. It's a fair point. That's a big deal in Laredo.
Actually,
So,
yeah, it is. It really is.
So it's just like Sam said. There's Laredo, and then there's the rest of the United States.
Yeah.
And that's why it gets quite difficult. But ultimately, what we do, and I think what we did really well during COVID, was we came, city came in and we had open arms. It was like, look, you need to do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Tell us what we need to do to make it better, or to abide by your new code or your new mandate. But ultimately, it's being informed. And I think, for anyone wanting to open up a business, don't assume anything, but go to those particular departments and ask to be informed, because a lot of people here won't. We're lucky. We have Networking Laredo. We have a mixer tomorrow with Networking Laredo, and that's all about really an advocacy for local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, well, do you want to start a business? I can show you how to start a business. But when it comes to the city, Chamber does actually a pretty good job with that. So I will give a shout out to Laredo Chamber that has created certain programs to help people that want to create a business. So I do recommend you reach out to them if you are trying to do that. But my point is that it's different in the sense that you have to seek it. It's not going to come to you. You have to do the legwork.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And that part where you mentioned that, I'm pretty blunt when it comes to this. So everybody who watches knows this. The fact that I've heard just recently, like maybe like 2 days ago, that there's this new restaurant opening close by here actually,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy was actually mentioning to me that it took him, like, I want to say like 6 months just to get his permit to even sell liquor. And how you were mentioning that it's different depending on where the valley and here. And when it comes to actually opening businesses here, all I've heard was a bunch of, like, not so much negative, but a lot of, like, they hold stuff back. There's miscommunication and stuff like that. But again, that's just me talking about stuff that I've heard. But I'm gonna move on to the next question. Actually,
No. The last thing I'll say about what you said is I highly recommend people look into Mile One, which is kind of an incubator for new businesses.
Yeah.
Highly recommend Mile One. Cesar is there, and he can definitely help you with what you need from a paperwork standpoint, or making sure that you're abiding by the codes to make sure that you can open up a business. And the Laredo Chamber. And then obviously, Sam and I are always very open to talking to anybody if anyone wants to open up a business about what exactly you need to be able to do so. You can have an idea, and that's great. And you can have an ambiance, and that's great. But ultimately, if you can't abide by the code, you're going to get in trouble. So, you can share our Instagram or Facebook or whatever, our contact info, but we are more than happy to help people because we've been through it. And because we've been through it, we want to make sure that, up and coming businesses don't have to go through the trial and tribulations that we've gone through.
And there you go. I will totally link their Instagrams at the end of this podcast. In the meantime, I'm gonna take a short break from the interview questions. This is where I'm gonna like
Yeah.
throw this. You mentioned it already. The fact that you guys have are helping out as far as mental health and stuff like that. How do you guys go about that exactly to actually help that out? What is it? Mental health and neurology, I believe it was.
Yeah, which is
Yes.
dementia,
Yeah.
Alzheimer's. So there's certain organizations here, local organizations, and more like kind of national organizations that provide services and support for those types of issues. And we always try to we promote that. We either it's a post or we're trying to get funding for that to help that those certain nonprofits to get more funding to help our local community. So aside from what we do from people coming in and giving a percentage of our revenue, for example, to those local or national nonprofits, we try to do that individually as well.
Mhm.
My background's in psychiatric clinical research for 20 years. So what we are trying to bring to Laredo is psychiatric and neurology clinical research into Laredo. And that's something that is here, but not with those particular therapeutic areas. And that's something that's very much needed here. I think, like I said, like Sam and I take chances, right? And we take chances on what we're doing within the industry. But nonetheless, we never we don't ever give back to our community, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's caps and gowns for people graduating from high school that need funding for a cap and gown. We're going to do that. Whether it's children's cancer, we're gonna be a part of that. Neurology, Alzheimer's, we're going to be a part of that. What's the other one in neurology for children? Autism. That's a big deal
Autism.
here in Laredo, which is really interesting. And I love to have the time to do more of a research on why there's such an increase
In autism.
in autism in Laredo. So that's clearly environmental. Why is it environmental? Where's the source of that problem? So that's something we're always doing. And that's why I think, going back to maybe 3 or 4 questions ago, what do we consider ourselves? We consider ourselves people that are trying to just provide a better quality of life for people. Whether it's a speakeasy to enjoy yourself or whether it's mental health or whether it's neurology, we're always trying to find ways to help our community. And I think pushing the, those particular points in the year where that's an advocacy or that's a support, like breast cancer, for example, in October. Like we're always trying to do something that helps not just our local community but nationwide.
Yep.
But I think that's where we come into play, where we got to promote that, we got to advocate for that, we got to support that, and we got to show people that, hey, this is a real issue in Laredo, and we're behind it, and we want to help. So I think ultimately it comes down to showing some sort of exposure, right? Exposing people to like what's the problem, what are the main issues here that we have medically, and how can we help? And that's kind of where we come from. And I think the fact that Sam's come from his industry, I've come from mine. When you bring all that together, we have a good opportunity to really help our community. Aside from like that doesn't help us from a revenue standpoint, but ultimately, because of the way we were raised, because of my dad, that's always given back more than he's gotten back. That is what's instilled in us, and that's why we do what we do.
Very, very cool. Very inspirational. And I really hope you guys actually continue on to do that because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be looked into, taken care of. A lot of the autism, like you said, cancer, stuff like that. I know there's
Autism, cancer, dementia, huge.
yeah,
From a psychiatric standpoint, whether it's schizophrenia, bipolar, MDD, major depression disorder, because of our culture, we keep that within the family. We don't want people to know about that. But once you're able to tell your story about you've struggled with those types of situations, then maybe people will be a little bit more open to being receptive to the fact that there are alternative, medical services that
Yeah.
that we would like to bring in to help people that suffer from those types of indications. That if not built here, then they none otherwise wouldn't have that opportunity to get those type of services.
very true. And I totally 100% back that up because again, I mentioned a story not too long ago. Um, which I'm not gonna go into detail here because I've been actually wanting to make a podcast about this specific topic, but neither me or my wife feel like we're not quite ready to actually say it yet. We've talked about it every now and then, but it's coming soon, maybe. But
Yeah.
it's in the works.
The last
But I really
thing,
hope you guys could keep doing that.
to your point, the
Yeah.
last thing I'm trying to bring in, because I'm slowly starting to work into this different indication outside of Laredo, but I want to bring it here, is
Okay.
psychedelic research. So psilocybin, which is mushrooms. I'm currently in the process of working with psilocybin clinical research for
Very cool.
PTSD and postpartum depression. So those are some areas that I think can be very, that can be quite relevant, and I think that can that really connect with people here that go through, whether it's MDD, PTSD, or postpartum depression.
Mhm.
It's psilocybin clinical research, but that's probably maybe a podcast for a different time. But nonetheless, my point is that, coming back to your question maybe 4 questions ago, is it's entrepreneurship. It's always trying
Yeah.
to bring something in, but ultimately it's not just about what we can do from a revenue standpoint. Even though we bring that from a revenue standpoint, it's still giving back to the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do that's different than most, is that even though we benefit, we want to make sure the community benefits as well.
That's for sure. You're always trying to give, like you said, give more back than you receive.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, now that we've kind of sort of covered a little bit more what you do on the side besides your businesses and the speakeasy and the restaurant and whatnot, let's go ahead and move right on to the next question here. With evolving consumer taste uh, and preferences, how do you stay adaptive and innovative in your offering, both in the speakeasy and restaurant, to meet changing demands? And I think we kind of spoke a little bit about that. How Laredo is well, very very demanding when it comes to like their what they like and what they don't like. So how do you guys stay on point on that?
When you say demand, I'm going to switch that to efficiency. How can we be more efficient? People don't have time, right?
Okay.
Rochas, if you order something out of Rocha, let's say you want a chicken fried chicken. Um, I don't have it there waiting
Uh-huh.
that I need just to heat up. It's all made to order. So we always try to find ways to, how can we make our business more efficient, which would help with our customers' demands.
Okay.
A perfect example, and I know this might sound crazy that the people that know about this, but a POS system is what controls your restaurant, how you order, how the kitchen sees it, how you pay. We've been open for going on 5 years, and we've had 4 POS systems. Why? Because they don't do what we need them to do. And it sounds crazy, and it's been a huge investment on our part. That's a learning experience, right?
Okay.
You pay, and then you're like, it didn't work. Okay, well, let me try something else. But I think we finally found what worked for us and what we're trying to do. But that's an example of going back to your demand. For me, it's, okay, how can we be more efficient? How can we just increase the time process, right? Other than that, I don't think we get really many demands from our clientele.
For us, it's similar to what Sam said. It's getting the right system in place, which took us a minute. Like Sam said, it was now on our 4th POS, but I think we found the right one. What's really nice about the POS we created, speaking of efficiency, is that you're going to see the same POS, the same POS stands for
I have no idea.
something system.
Something operating system.
Yeah.
Operating system.
But it's basically what you're using to do your sales and to close out tickets.
Okay.
So we've gone through so many, and what we've been able to do is find a way to get Rochas, Gatsbys, and soon to be open Rise.
Point of sale. Let me
Point of
just
sale.
intervene.
Oh man, I should have.
I'm
known
sorry, what was
I-
that?
Point of
Point of
sale.
sale.
Point of sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just for
To
for the
clarify
people
there.
looking, we knew that, but it's been a long day. But we did know it was point of sale.
Thank you, Google.
Yes. But to get that into all our establishments has been extremely helpful. And to find a POS that is very customizable and being able to get the kitchen to be able to, the floor to connect to the kitchen in a way where they know exactly what is needed was a part of that POS kind of trial and error. And I think that's a big part of the question in hand, which is what have we done to really making sure that even though we have a demand, what are we doing from an efficiency standpoint to make sure that our customers are happy? And
Okay.
ultimately, it's not just a service, but it's making sure you have the right point of sale, POS, to make sure that there's a clear communication from the floor to the bar, or the bar to the back of the house,
Of course.
to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have finally been able to do really well.
Yeah.
Is get the right system in place where whether you work at Rocha's, whether you work at Gatsby's, or you work at Rise, we're using the same system. It's customizable, and ultimately the customer is very happy with the turnaround.
Yeah.
Is really happy with from the time they order to the time they get their food, and that's a really big deal. Whether it's Rocha's, which is food mainly, or whether it's Gatsby's and that cocktail, that turnaround is much better. It's much more efficient. It's a lot quicker. So that's a big deal.
But I think it shows completely 100% when it comes to both of your establishments. I've been to both Rochas, and I've been here, and right down again to the services, to the customized cocktails, to the food that you guys serve. It just shows that the fact that you guys actually take the time to pay attention and what it is that's actually coming out of your team. And again, the whole listening to them, the fact that you're actually listening to their ideas, and then making them work out with you, coincide with your all's plans. It just shows a lot, and the fact that there's the teamwork is there, and the fact that you guys keep it working like that, you're just gonna have a very efficient establishment.
Another thing is accountability. You gotta hold them accountable.
Accountability. That's another one. That's true.
Will happen, right? It's just, you know what, a mistake was made. That's fine. Let's move forward. But let's not that. Let's make
Hold
sure
yourself
that doesn't
accountable
happen
to it.
again.
Yeah.
And own it.
Own it.
I would rather
true.
you own it. Hey, I fucked up. Hey,
My bad.
no big deal.
That's true.
Let's go on.
But thank you for acknowledging
Right.
that you fucked up.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
That's actually true.
We don't want to hear excuses. We just want to say, hey, you know what? That was a mistake. We move on and we go on to the next. But hold yourself accountable for whatever mishaps that may happen. And I think the big part of that too, the last thing I'll say on this question is my dad, right? Like when you think of Rochas del Catan, I think of dad coming out in his apron with his UT Texas cap, half burnt off because he burned it somehow. And he's got harina all over him. Like he's got fucking flour all over him.
Yeah.
But what is he doing? He goes out as soon as things are chill, and he's going to every single table, making sure that everybody's happy. What do we do at Rochas, aside from my dad? We go to every table. Hey, are you guys happy? By the way, we have these new taquitos de papa. I would love for you to try them. This is on the house. I want you guys to be happy. Let me know what you think. We really take time to spend time with our guests, with our clientele. And I think that's also separates us a little bit. I don't know a lot of establishments where the owners are kind of dressed however they're dressed, and they're going to table saying, hey, are you happy with your experience here? Did everything come out okay? By the way, I have this new dish. I want you to try it. Here's a sample. So we really try to find a way to connect with our customers, whether it's Rochas, Gatsby's, or soon to be Rise. Our goal is to find a way to connect with them where they know that they feel, they feel appreciated.
Sure.
And I appreciate them for being there. So
That makes them want to come back.
Oh, for sure.
Just a small 15, 30-second conversation creates a different experience for them that makes them want to come back.
For sure. Right down to the communication, like I said, with your team. But not only that, but you also take the time to actually sit down and actually talk to the people, the clientele that coming in, and like how you were mentioning, maybe kind of showing a little bit something of what's new, giving the opportunity to try it, and so on and so forth. So that's awesome. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go and move on to the next question here. Within the rise of digital marketing and social media, how do you balance promoting your businesses while maintaining the restaurant and the Speakeasy bar?
So Ray handles the majority of our social media.
Okay.
We have two different marketing people that we use. We have for marketing, someone produces our social, we post, and then we hired 464 Entertainment. Thomas O'Connor, great guy, handles our video. So we kind of subcontract that, but we approve anything that gets posted because there's not enough time, and that's not what we do.
It's kind of knowing knowing, like, staying in your lane, one part, but two, like, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And
Okay.
if there's somebody that can do what I would like to do better, then I want to bring those people in. And that's where the marketing standpoint comes into play. Ruben Requena is an amazing person. Has supported us from day one.
Day one.
He was also a musician who does. He's at Rochas, by the way,
Every
on
Friday.
Fridays, playing Spanish acoustic, whether it's internacional or mariachi. He's absolutely amazing, and he also does marketing on the side. Then we have Thomas O'Connor, who has his 464 Entertainment, and he's kind of worldwide. You know, he's been all over the place, but he's local. He's born and raised here, and does a lot for Laredo as far as creating or producing certain type of product for different industries. But we really have a team of people that are able to help in that respect. What we've kind of come into is that we're so busy with trying to, juggle three establishments, is that we need that help. We're
course.
not, we know, like I said, we want to bring in the right people to help us in the right ways. So I think when it comes to that question, is getting the right kind of visual, the kind of creativity from people outside of what we know, knowing that they know how to do it better than we do. And it goes down to just, like, you don't have to be so prideful and think that you know everything. Ultimately,
Yeah.
like, we come from a management, different industries. We've managed different industries. But when it comes to marketing or podcasts, for example, or anything else, we know that we don't know that very well.
Okay.
So we try to bring in the right people to help us in that respect. But also, it's just, you to make money, you got to make money. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To make money, you got to
Spend money.
You got to spend money.
Yeah.
My apologies. But that's where that comes into play. Are you willing to take that chance to spend that money to get the right people in place to promote your business?
Yeah.
And you've got to do it. Like, I know it's unfortunate, it sucks, like, to spend that money thinking, like, I don't know what my ROI is going to be. I don't know what my return of investment is going to be. But nonetheless, I know that they can do it better than I can.
Sure.
I need to take that chance.
Yeah.
So that's where we go. We confide in people that we trust to be able to do that for us.
Yeah, I think even for you guys, for instance, you guys run multiple businesses, and I think when it comes down to multiple businesses, you have to like you said, you have to make money to spend money, or did I
Yeah.
say it wrong? Yes, make money to
You
spend
have to
money.
spend money to make
Spend money to make money.
I'm
Spend money
sorry.
to make money.
And it's kind of like a thing when it comes to businesses, I think, because like you said, the fact that you actually admit the fact that you, like you say, you don't know it all. That's a huge big step when it comes to business, because again, there's a lot of people that I've actually worked for, and they don't have that mentality, and I've seen them just completely collapse. And the fact that you do that is a huge thing, because the fact that you can admit that you can actually get the right help, the right helping hands to actually help you with your growth, with your businesses. So that's freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
And just like in your industry, like, you take a chance. We take a gamble that we're spending X amount of money to hope to get that X amount of return.
Yeah.
But you don't know. But if we don't take that chance, then we will never know.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we do what we do and collaborate with the right people. And I think what we've done really well is we've created really solid relationships with those people to make sure that we're getting that ROI. And I think ultimately that's what matters, right? Like, whether you're here or anywhere else and you're networking, you want to be able to build that kind of partnership, that kind of even friendship, where you're going to
Yeah.
get what you need. You're going to get what you want, and you're going to get your money's worth. And I think that's where we come into play, where we've really built those relationships to make sure that we're getting our ROI, our return on investment.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
But then they get the same.
Right,
Like,
of course.
as we use certain people, hey, what are the Rochas doing? They got this, you know what? Hire them. So as
Yeah.
they help us, they help themselves as well.
Yeah. It's it's kind of old school, where you win, we win. We're doing this
Yeah.
podcast, and maybe other people see this podcast and I'm like, wow, that was a great podcast. I hadn't heard that before. I want to hire you because I really enjoyed that podcast that you did with somebody. So you never know what you're going to get out of it, but ultimately
That's true.
we take that chance to really build those relationships.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next following question here. Can you elaborate on any challenges you face in running multiple businesses and how you've overcome and navigated them.
So there's not enough time in the day for what we do. I would just,
I think that
Say it
falls
out.
into anything in general.
but it's a little different. Like I have my brother, right? We're
Yeah.
in business together. So we find a way to make it happen
Oh, sure.
one way or another. Is it easy? Absolutely not. One way or another, we figure it out. And like we said before, we pivot, but it works. But it is, this is not an easy business, especially in, like we mentioned earlier, in this town, but we just kind of find a way. We
Yeah, I
make
think-
it work.
I think it's having a good right hand. Like Sam's my right hand, but I'm also his right hand. Like it's not one person can do it alone. I think that's kind of the overall.
How we mentioned earlier
concept.
that it's just having the right team to help you.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
And
so
sometimes,
it's trust.
I'm having a bad day, and Ray's like, he sees it in me. I know where you're at. Boom, he steps it up. I see Ray, and he's frustrated. Okay, like give him a little bit of time and
Sure.
take
Yeah.
the lead here and go on.
Yeah.
But going back, it's
You gotta
having that
have
support.
you gotta have like this. I'm not gonna whether it's Batman Robin or Batman, whatever it may be, but you gotta have that person that you really
Batman Dick
trust.
Grayson.
There you go. But you gotta have that. You gotta have that because there's gonna be we're human, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like, unfortunately, I wish I was a cyborg, but I'm not. Like, it'd be awesome if I was, but I'm not. Like, I need him to pick me up when I'm not well, and when I see he's not doing well, I got you. I may not be in a great place, but I see where you're at. I got you. Like, I'm gonna pick you up, and
Yeah.
we're gonna be okay, and we're gonna get through the fucking day.
Yeah.
So it is. You cannot do anything alone, I guess, is the overall like kind of idea behind this. But you got to have somebody that's got your back.
sure.
Whether you take the lead or that person takes the lead, because you've got to be the person behind the scenes. But whatever it is, you got to have somebody there that is there for you through and through. And it doesn't when you're doing when you have multiple businesses. It's even more important to have somebody by your side.
I just
that
want a
can
W.
pick you up.
I just want one W. I'll take all the L's. I'll take 50 L's, but I want that one W.
Real quick, what were the W's and the L's here?
I mean, the W and L's change day to day. Like if we're thinking like macro standpoint, it'd be great to always be in the black. And by in the black, I mean like you're not
Profitable.
you're
Profitable.
We
You're
don't
profit-
always win.
You're
Okay.
profiting.
Okay.
But when it comes to the day to day, the smallest things from your staff to be happy, and there's a good lunch crowd, or there's a good, happy hour crowd, or there was a good Friday.
Okay.
Or your
You'll take-
contractor showed up this morning.
Your contractor showed up this morning.
That's a W.
That's a W.
I'll take it.
So W's mean like win, I assume.
Yes, a win.
Okay.
It's
gotcha.
a win. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought you meant like what is a W, and almost anything can be a W, but by W we mean win.
Okay.
And a win can be so small as to the lighting's on point.
Yeah.
To hey, we have these great bartenders, mixologists that are on point, and people are loving them. We won today. Whether it's our contractors finishing the bathroom electrical work, that's a fucking win. Great, awesome.
But we're also particular. Like
yeah,
the bar,
we're not easy.
The bar alignment. What does that entail? Is I want to walk into my bar, our family's bar, and the bottles be aligned, because that's.
I want to see the label aligned perfectly.
And
I don't want to see a label that's like at a 45. I want to see that label.
So
on
it's
point.
that particular.
It's that particular.
Or you got one bottle that's behind that replaced one bottle, but you never brought it forward. So it's just not aligned. We're not aligned.
Yeah.
They're little.
That's just how detailed it comes to right down
as
to
all
it.
the labels of every bottle at the bar being centered,
Facing
and that-
towards the
and
clients.
sometimes that can be a win. And sometimes you'll take that win because you've had a tough day and you're looking for a win, and you're like, you know what? The bottles are on point. I fucking won. And okay, let's go.
And what's an L? Well, I had 2 employees that didn't show up on a Friday. Well, Friday's one of my busiest days. I'm down 2 employees. That's a problem.
We lost sales. Because of that.
Business is down. Business is not always good.
Yeah.
That's an L. It varies.
It's relative.
but there's
But
so many there's so many.
you look for a W
factors.
anywhere you can find it. Like even a W being the bottles are on point and centered. It's like, okay, cool. I'm good today. even though that doesn't sound like a W, it doesn't sound like a win, but it's a win because something went right.
I get that, because it's just trying to find the small things in life that'll actually spark up that inspiration or that motivation,
Like,
even though
okay.
it's like the
Okay.
most dumbest thing, even to to anybody. Like, you know what I mean?
Like the dimming right now is not on point.
It's not.
But
Oh, it's not.
No,
bright
it's
in
not.
here.
But once we're done with this, we'll make sure that the dimming is on point. And when we leave, we're like, okay, it's a W.
Holy shit! There you go. Like even down to bottles facing towards actual people, the lighting, everything
if you're
counts
the
apparently.
consumer coming in and have a very nice bar, but the bottles are all mixed. Like, you got your vodkas that mix with your bourbons and your whiskeys and your tequila. No,
Yeah,
there's
unacceptable.
a section for tequila. There's a section for whiskeys. There's a section for bourbons. There's a section for mezcal. So as a consumer, sit at the bar, it's like, okay, well, you know what you regularly drink, so you see the bottle, but then you're like, okay, well, they got tequila over here, they got a mezcal over here, they got a scotch over here, they got a whiskey over here. It's just
Okay, that part I do kind of get.
Yeah.
That part I do kind of get.
Ultimately, we just try to find a win somewhere. So when we go to bed, we go to bed at night, we're like, hey, it wasn't a bad day. The fucking labels are on point.
Dude, that's great. The small things in life, what kind of sort of matters. Is kind of what I'm kind
but
of
the
getting
small
off of
things
this.
matter. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
The small things is what's going to set you apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
So the small things mean everything.
Yeah, like how you're saying, you guys were saying in the beginning, how even the smallest of details, how you were mentioning, even right down to the paint on the walls, to the glassware that you guys use and stuff like that. Like the smallest details, kind of sort of matter,
Mhm.
especially to you guys, because like you were saying, like something bad happens, well, at least the lights on these cases back here were still fucking working. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll add to that really quickly. We had our area rugs laundered, and we took them to the laundromat, and they were done. But as Kicker and I and the other employees were putting them in, or were placing them in the appropriate places, we made sure that every single one was aligned.
Yeah.
So that was a win today. It's like, oh, I know that every single rug here is clean, and every single rug is aligned with the other rug.
Yeah.
So even that's important, right? From like aesthetically, like, people may not notice that, but I want to make sure that everything is even keel. Everything makes sense, and there's symmetry to everything that we're doing.
And your employees will adapt.
Yeah.
They'll adapt because they know what
That's
you're
the
looking
expectation.
at.
That's the standard.
When we walk in here,
They know.
I'm scanning the whole place without scanning
off the
the whole
bat.
place. I know
You're
what's
scanning it.
not right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of making a facial expression or a signal or just doing it myself. And then you just see them and they're like, I should have cut that.
I should have cut that. Because I know how the Rochas are. And that's the point. Like we want people to know what our standard is and the expectation is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we try to do from the get-go when we get new employees. And when we first started Gatsbys, and what we've rebranded to Rochas, is people know that our expectation is different, and that's not a bad thing. It's just the expectation that you guys should want as well.
Yeah.
Because if you were outside of Laredo, that's what would be expected of you.
That's true. The fact that you guys actually come in with a particular vision, and again, a very aesthetically different and very authentic vision, is just awesome. Again, it's something that kind of Laredo not necessarily needs, but kind of something that really like it's good. It's good to change every now and then, and I feel like that's what Laredo needs. A bit of a change, something different, more than what we were mentioning earlier, what they're usually accustomed to, stuff like that. But I think that I'm sorry, you want to add something?
Oh no, that was it.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Can you elaborate on any challenges? Oh, I already faced that one. Oh, we're on the last question. My bad. We're on the last question here. Looking ahead, or the last call, as I've been calling it lately. Looking ahead, what new ventures or expansions do you envision for your business's portfolio, and how do you anticipate integrating them into the existing brand identity? And I know you guys have been kind of already mentioning the new addition that you've been wanting to do, but if you can go a little bit more into detail for the people who don't know, see what is it to expect, what Gatsby's is going to be expecting, and what new little ventures we're going to be getting now.
So our next venture is obviously we just opened up Gatsby's, and I feel Gatsby's is for a particular type of demographic. Rise is for everyone. And the name would be Rise Rooftop,
Rise Rooftop
RYZE,
Lounge.
Rise Rooftop Lounge, and that would be upstairs right above Gatsby's. And when we started this concept, we said, okay, what do we want? When we thought about Gatsby's, like a New York vibe, kind of chic, modern speakeasy. Upstairs, the first thing we thought of was Miami. Let's bring something different. And we were like, okay, well, what do we need to do? So something that Rise or that particular part of this establishment did not have is bathrooms. So we added 4 bathrooms, unisex, small 3x5. We got the idea we went to a place in New York, and subway tile. It's chic. We didn't want the people upstairs kind of coming downstairs, because the upstairs is really a different vibe. The ambiance is night and day.
You don't want it like getting involved with the vibe that the Gatsby's already has.
We didn't want
already.
that to impact our Gatsby's clientele.
It's
And
different.
it's different. And I think what we're trying to create upstairs without you having a visual is Miami Tulum kind of day club. A lot of greenery, palm trees, neon colors, DJ, the whole nine, very extravagant tropical cocktails. It's a very different ambiance, a very different experience. And I think what we notice is that a lot of people in Laredo go out of town to have that type of experience. And now we want to bring that experience to Laredo. And that's where we're at. And the rooftop lended itself for us to be able to create that vibe. And it's very exciting. It's very exciting, not just because it's so different than what we have, but so different for Laredo. Like I said, most people go out of town to have that experience, and we're bringing that to them.
And like we were particular with the aesthetics at Gatsby's, same thing with Rise. Even when it came to the sound, recently we just bought our speaker system, and we were like, okay, we can do this or we can do this. And I was like, okay, well, it's all for me. It's about a bottom line. What does it cost? Do I pay this or do I pay double the price? Right.
Yeah.
But once we heard the sound and what the experience,
the quality,
of course,
and what we're trying to give, we're like, nah, man, let's just go with this.
To Sam's point, we didn't cut any corners. Like, we don't cut corners. We didn't cut corners with Gatsby's. We've rebranded Rocha's in the right way. And now we're building Rise without cutting any corners. That is really giving people a true out-of-town day club experience. So that's what's coming here soon. Hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks. That day
3 to 4 weeks?
The word I like to use a lot is tentative. Everything's tentative.
December.
I love the word tentative. I just like saying it.
Honestly, we're close. We've been under construction for like 8 months, but we're getting close. We're in the last.
We're closer.
We're in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. We're definitely closer in it, and I would love to have this type of conversation once we built it out. But it is a very unique experience for this area. Not to say you can't get a similar experience, maybe Austin or north of that in other states, but anything south of that, you're not going to get what we bring. And I think that's what's really exciting. We're not just excited because it's something we enjoy, just like Gatsby's. We create a place that we enjoy, and that we're fortunate that other people enjoy.
Yeah.
But we hope and expect the same thing from Rise.
Very, very cool. So we're going to be expecting
At the same time, it's a different demographic. Like, so we have Rocha's, you dine in, right? And let's say you go out with your wife. It's like, you know what, let's go have dinner. And you go to Rocha's, Ruben Requeña's playing on a Friday, on the patio. And you're like, you know what, let's go have a cocktail. So you come to Gatsby's, walking distance. And like, let's just say you and your wife want to turn up. You know what? Let's just go upstairs and go to Rise.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little monopoly here, but it's kind of just the beginning of what's next. But it creates so much opportunity for us in the future. You know, come St. Patty's, we have a block party here, right? So you got Rocha's food, you got Gatsby's cocktails, and you got Rise, and we block it out, we fence it out. You have DJs and bands, and you ring in St. Patty's. You know,
Very,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, intended. I think, to Sam's St. Patty's, what we've done since we moved here is, we're gung ho about St. Patty's because, Sam's been in San Antonio, I've been in Austin, but I love St. Patty's. And so I really wanted to try to bring that type of energy to Laredo. So every year for the last 3 years, we've done a pub crawl, but it's a local pub crawl where we go to all local restaurant and bars. We start at a certain point, make our way around, and we end up at Rocha's, we end up somewhere nearby. But ultimately, it's showing that support and that love to our local businesses within the industry. So I love that we do that. I don't think a lot of people do that, but I think it says a lot about us and a lot about the way that we support our community.
Very, very cool. I mean, the fact that we're gonna be getting something a lot more different because we got like the whole what is it like the 1920s kind of vibe here at Gatsby's, and now we're also gonna be getting upstairs Miami type of party type of clubbing type of vibe upstairs, and then you got Rocha's literally right next door from here, so you literally got the trifecta of a little bit of everything.
You couldn't, I couldn't have said it better. So
Yeah.
I think that's what's really cool about what we're doing. Like, if you want to have a nice dining experience, tranquilo, low key, whether it's family, couples, whatever it may be, we have nice Spanish acoustic music with great food at Rochas. You want to have a couple cocktails after, come to Gatsby's. If you want to have a little bit more fun, come over to Rise.
Yeah.
So it's really providing a different ambiance for everybody.
Yeah.
And whatever your liking may be, we have it for you at one of our 3 establishments.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Very soon to be 3
Very,
establishments.
very soon. Yes, I hope.
You hope
Tentatively.
tentatively. We learn a new word here in the channel and the podcast here. And for real though, like come check out Gatsby's, come check out Rocha. They're literally right next door to each other. You cannot miss it. I'll leave the addresses and all the information in the description right down below. And really excited what is to come from Gatsby's. We're getting something totally different compared to the environment that you see here. I'll probably leave some clips in between here and there so you guys can see, and as well as the link to the live that I've done here before. And anything else, anything new that maybe might be coming up soon here at Gatsby's?
I don't think this will come out by the time we do this event, but I do highly recommend everybody being a part of the Networking Laredo, or at least follow them, because we have a Networking Laredo mixer tomorrow at 6:30, from 6:30 to pretty much close. But the point is, like, if you are interested in opening up your own business, or you have an endeavor, or you're an entrepreneur, this is a great opportunity to meet people within your industry or outside your industry that can give you some pretty good advice.
or if
And
you're a business owner,
yeah.
and you're trying to network and meet new clients, it's a good place to
it's a
come.
good spot. So I invite you to come to those networking opportunities. I invite you to come out here, and if you guys have any questions about creating a new business or going into a new business, Sam and I are more than happy to talk to anybody about what it takes to do it. And it's not easy. It's a lot of trial and error, and we're here to help you to not have to go through those trials and errors and get you on the right foot. So anyway, yeah, we're here for you guys, and we're here for our community. So I appreciate it.
Very cool. And that will be happening on a Friday, if I'm not
So
mistaken.
the Networking Laredo event is tomorrow at 6:30. We'll have others come around, especially once we open up Rise. But follow Networking Laredo, which is on Instagram or Facebook, and they can, you'll see the events coming up. But if not, come on over to Gatsby's or Rise, ask for one of us, and we're happy to help you out with that. But if you can't make it tomorrow, another day, it's fine. And we can certainly help you with at least getting the foundations of what it takes to build a new business.
Very, very cool. There you have it, guys. There's going to be a very, very cool event for all you business owners, maybe possible future entrepreneurs that are in the works right now. If you have any questions, these guys will be available. I will also leave their Instagrams and personal Instagrams. I mean, on here somewhere around this section right here as I'm talking, so you guys can actually look them up and search them up. And if you have any questions, if you have any questions about the whole Speakeasy and stuff like that, I will totally leave that in right here, right now, and as well as in the description right down below. Other than that, I have to thank you guys for joining in the podcast, man.
Thanks, Lex.
Thank
It's
you
a good
so
time.
much.
My first
Good time.
podcast. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And I will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully, maybe we can do something a little bit different, like maybe when the whole upstairs happens. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd be great, and also just to give people exposure of what we're bringing into Laredo. But I think you'll love it. Like I said, everything we try to do, whether it's Gatsby's, Rocha's, Rise, it's really finding a way to bring something different to our community, and
Yeah.
for people to have a different. There's a lot to do here. There's a lot of potential, and we're trying to really maximize that and help different genres of people in Laredo. So I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's it for that podcast, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. And you guys want to like maybe wave farewell to the cameras before we head out. And that's it for this podcast, guys. I will see you guys in the next video, the next live, or the next podcast. See you guys in the next one, and peace out.